I was single for a very long time. Up until the time I met my wife, there was nobody else in my life. And through those single years, looking back, I wish somebody grabbed me by the shoulders, shook me, and told me these pieces of brutal advice. Because the reality was I was doing things that were not helpful, and I was thinking in ways that were just not beneficial to me at all. You see, I really wanted to find my wife, to be in a relationship, to have that connection, and yet I was making a lot of mistakes. And hopefully by you watching this video and learning a little bit from my mistakes, you can avoid some of them. So I'm going to share with you 7 pieces of kind of brutally honest advice that I think will help. Before we jump in, as always, my name is Isaac, and this is Men on Mission, where I equip you to lead and love like Jesus. If that's something that you're interested in, subscribe, because I'm putting out new content all the time. Also, if you want to go deeper in this community, join us on the Kindred Brothers Club on Patreon. We do weekly live streams, or we're going to kick those off as soon as we hit 50 members. So join us, because by the time you're watching this video, we've probably already kicked that off, and I'd love to see you there. Now, let's get into the advice. I don't know about you guys, but I grew up in a Christian homeschooled environment, which pretty much meant that girls were on one side and boys were on the other side. We had multiple events and gym groups throughout the week, things like that, where we would be in, co-ed environments, and yet not once did one of the guys go over to talk to one of the girls, and not once did one of the girls come over to talk to the guys. And maybe at that stage in our life, at that age, that's a good thing. But as an adult, as 18 plus year old, you shouldn't have a problem with going up to a woman or a group of girls and introducing yourself and saying, hey, you know what? This is my name. How's it going? Whatever. And obviously going up to a group of girls is pretty intimidating. So I encourage you probably find the ones that are just talking one-on-one to someone else, and go up to them at church and introduce yourself. The one thing that I could encourage you to get good at, the one skill that changes everything about the way that you think about dating and getting to know people, is get good at asking questions. If that's something that you want me to go deeper on, I can make a video on that for sure. But get good at asking questions that are better than just kind of the surface level questions that you hear everyone else asking, and then get good at asking follow-up questions to continue the conversation along. Be chill. You don't need to be intense. It doesn't need to be an interview. And don't go in with the intention okay, I'm going to get to know this girl so we can start dating, or I can ask them out, or whatever. It's sure, you might find them attractive and you might find them interesting, but seriously, within yourself, try to be chill about it. Try to hold back those expectations and intentions, and just begin to introduce yourself and get to know her a little bit in a group context. The more you do this, the more practice you have, when you actually meet that girl, you will be thoroughly prepared and ready to have a conversation, and it won't be awkward and it won't be weird. It will be just fine. And I realize there are different levels of social ability. And I recognize that. And for some of you guys that have more, and you have more trouble with that, I'm cheering you on, but put that intentionality out there. Don't use that as an excuse. Step into it. Don't be afraid, and you can be afraid, but don't let the fear of getting rejected, even if you could get rejected, you're just introducing yourself, but don't let that fear of having an awkward conversation stop you from just getting in the door. Okay, next one here. Stop idolizing a relationship. The more you build up the idea of a relationship and what that looks like and how wonderful that is in your mind, the more you build that up, the more intense everything around it is going to be. And that's what it was for me. I was like, okay, man, relationship, that's such a big step, and how does that even work? And you kind of complicate it in your mind, rather than just being okay, number one, I shouldn't idolize this because this isn't the end all be all, right? This isn't going to fix everything about my life. This isn't going to, satisfy every desire in my heart. No, this is a good thing. It's a good thing to desire, but I need to stop obsessing about it and idolizing it, because there's just adding more pressure on it, where when I am in environments, maybe on a first date, or you're talking to somebody at church, you're putting so much emphasis and intensity on that conversation to make something work that it's not healthy. Stop settling. Why do we settle in the first place? Why do we go on dates with people that we know that, we're not actually that interested in? Why do we continue on in a relationship that we know this isn't going anywhere? It's because of fear. It's because of fear. And what that fuels is desperation. It's this desire to be loved and to be connected and to not be lonely. We don't want to lose what little we have, even if we know it's not going to be long term. We don't want to lose that. There's fear there, and that leads us to settle. We need to trust God in this, guys. We need to trust God in this, guys. And I know it's easy me saying that as a married man, because you're like, well, Isaac, you know what? It's easy saying to trust God now that you got what you wanted, right? And I understand that. I felt the exact same way when I was in your position, when I was single. I'm like, stop telling me to trust God. Stop telling me that it's all going to work out. You don't know. There are plenty of guys that are into their 40s that don't have a spouse, that haven't met that person yet. So how can you say that? How can you say that fear is unjustified? I can't. But what I can say is that even in those trials, even in this waiting period where you're not sure what's going to happen, right? You're not sure. You can still cling to your convictions, cling to your faith in God, and trust that whatever He has for you is good. At the end of the day, this comes down to your understanding of the character of God. Is He a good father or is He a bad father? And that's something that you're going to need to work out in your own heart. Stop waiting for your life to start. Seriously, I wish I could go back to 18-year-old Isaac and just shake him and say, hey, bro, you got 5 years. You got 5 years and then you meet your wife. Make it happen. Live your life. Don't just wait around for her to come into your life. Prepare for her, but also just live for God. No, actually, I would have loved to go back and really pour more into my friends. At that age, I was so focused on work and just other things that I didn't really have that strong group of friends that helped me, grow, and we just lived together and stuff like that. I would have loved to have that dynamic, but for some reason that didn't line up for me. But even now I'm thinking for you guys, don't wait to do certain things or to have certain experiences or to try different stuff, take risks, whatever, live different places. You don't need to put that off. You don't need to live like a half of a person before you meet your spouse. No, find a wife. It's not hard to find a girlfriend. When I was younger, I was jealous of people that were in relationships that had girlfriends. And I would think, what's wrong with me? What's my problem that I can't get in a relationship? But then it struck me, it's not that hard to just find a girlfriend, right? There are plenty of women that want to have connection and don't want to be lonely. And for whatever reason, they want to be in a relationship. And if you went out there and you were just put yourself out there, I'm sure that you eventually would find yourself a girlfriend, in not too long of a time if you really put the effort into it. But the problem is that you don't want to just have any girlfriend. You don't want to have a girlfriend that really stands opposed to what you believe and what you're about and what you stand for. And so why would you just want a girlfriend? No, you want to find a wife. And that's a lot harder to find. And I think that's why a lot of guys, Christian guys, are struggling and they feel like, well, I just need to get in a relationship with somebody. It's you don't just want that. You don't understand what the girls in the world look like, what they're into and what they're obsessed with, and just party culture, hookup culture, all that stuff that you don't want to be a part of. And so you don't just want to find a girlfriend. You don't want to just find somebody that likes you or is attracted to you or whatever. You want to find a wife, someone that you can grow a life with, that you can serve God together. Finding that person, it takes time and it can be super difficult and frustrating. And I know exactly what you feel in that. But no, it's not a matter of your likability or desirability necessarily. You could find a girlfriend. It's just not, you don't want that type of girlfriend. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. I got caught in this for so many years, honestly. I would make excuses and I would just feel bad about being single, and I would feel this sense of self-pity. Woe was me, my life circumstances have dictated where I'm in this position where I haven't dated anybody and I'm not with anybody. And if I went to, public school, or if I was a non-Christian or whatever, I'd have these experiences and be with somebody and I'd have this relationship. And I got caught. I told this story in my mind a lot. This story of feeling sorry for myself. Until one day I kind of woke up and I was like, you know what? Feeling sorry for myself, living in self-pity only hurts me. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't affect anything. It's just a story I play in my mind, and it only hurts me because it prevents me from taking intentional action into the goal and the vision and the purpose and the mission that I actually want to pursue. Don't rush it. I mentioned earlier this fear and desperation that can get a hold of us when we're single and we really desire to be in a relationship. This is something I experienced, and what I would tend to do is bring so much intensity and intentionality to like a first date or second date or whatever. But what I was doing, I was rushing it. I was trying to get us to the next stage of connection or trust or sharing or vulnerability before there had been really any groundwork put in place. What I learned, especially in dating my wife, is the benefit and the blessing of being intentional. Yeah, like being upfront with what you're in it for, but also just having a lot of fun with the person, like just enjoying their company, like laughing a lot. I think my wife and I, like at the first date that we had, we talked about church denominations and the denomination that she grew up in and some of the issues and problems that, we both recognized about our respective traditions. And I think we also talked about like the problem with modern worship music, but then we just laughed a lot. Like we talked a lot about the stories of our life and funny experiences that we'd encountered. It was a lot of fun. And it made me realize, I'm like, man, what have I been doing wrong this whole time? Like, why do I take this so serious? I put so much pressure on it when in reality, it's like you don't need to rush it. Like you should let it develop. Now I want to hear from you guys, which piece of advice was most helpful for you? And please leave us guys a tip in the comments down below with a piece of advice that you would have for some of the single guys there. Thanks again for watching. And until next time, keep pursuing the mission.